Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelley and this is another video that is part of a playlist that I created all to do with my experience with H.Pylori and everything that I was diagnosed with up until the point where I was told I had that infection. And I've had a number of people ask me to do an update. It's actually been a whole year since I did a video about H. pylori. I am, as of next month, 3 years post-treatment, and I thought that I would do another video because I feel like I'm now at the stage where I'm on the other side of it. I feel like I'm looking back rather than being in the midst of it, and I watched my videos back the other day and I could see behind the eyes that I was struggling, but I'm so glad that I did that video series because one, it documented my journey, and I think that really helped me with the healing process after the infection and after the treatment and after healing and things. And also I wanted to put the videos on YouTube. I wasn't going to, but I'm so glad that I did because I don't think there's enough out there about the infection, and I wanted to basically help others to save time, money and stress, because I have spent all of those things and I just wanted to help other people with my experience. Just a disclaimer before I start talking about this is my personal journey with H. pylori. I'm not a scientist or a doctor or medically trained to be specific about the H. pylori infection, but I do feel like because I've been through it myself, I feel like an expert in experience rather than being qualified and having not experienced it, but to talk about it, if that makes sense. And I wanted to basically go over some of the things that I found really useful from before I was diagnosed to now, some of my most commonly asked questions. Now, bearing in mind, I'm not medically trained in H. pylori, it's purely my experience that I'm going by, but I'm generally seeing the same things cropping up. And I thought, you know what, this warrants another video because there's so many people that have got this infection according to the internet, because I don't have anything to hand with specific research on it. I'm under the understanding that H. pylori affects around half the population of the world. That is a lot of people. If you or somebody that you know is experiencing anxiety, panic, low iron stores, hormone imbalance, gastritis, IBS, there is a slight chance that it could be to do with this bacteria. And I actually had somebody comment on one of my videos, and I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning this, but her comment to me was, I wish more people who had an anxiety or panic diagnosis knew about this infection. It's not me telling anybody what to do, it's just my personal experience and some of the things that I've picked up along the way that could potentially save somebody else time and money, because I've spent a lot of money on my gut health and I'm finally at a point where I can look back and I feel like a completely different person. My symptoms went right back years and I was getting all sorts of different things, and it was a slow kind of progression towards actually being diagnosed, but everything that I was diagnosed with along the way could have potentially been avoided. And it's very frustrating. This is not me kind of pointing the finger at doctors. There's just not enough time in a doctor's appointment to go through absolutely everything when you're experiencing this infection. But also, I have noticed by some of the comments that I've had from people that you're not necessarily going to have the same symptoms. There are some that are exactly the same. Everybody's body is different and everybody's tolerance level is different. And so I'm going to go through a few of those things now. I've made some notes, so I'm going to try and be to the point, and I'm hoping that you get something out of this. Let me know if you do. But firstly, this is my first video of 2026, so I just wanted to say Happy New Year. It's actually Saturday the 31st of January. It has been a very sunny morning here in the UK, and it looks like spring is on the way. I didn't want to do another video until I actually felt like it was the right time, and now feels like the right time. I feel like a completely different person, and all I would love to do is to be able to kind of give somebody a little golden nugget, and for somebody to say, I didn't even think of that. How do we know where we picked up the infection? And the simple answer is, I don't actually think anybody really knows where or when they got the infection. I think sometimes if your symptoms are sudden, then it might be a little bit more clear. But for me, it was something that gradually came on after a very long time. It wasn't a very sudden kind of thing that happened for me. And so it was really confusing. The root cause of H. pylori isn't something that I can specifically comment on, because it can be picked up by contact or food or sanitation, and it doesn't actually seem to be one specific place in the world where you can get this infection. You can get this infection literally anywhere. I believe that my infection increased dramatically after a really stressful time. My stomach was showing signs of playing up a little bit while I was really stressed. So I went to the doctor and I was told that I got IBS. And I was told that there was nothing that could be done. It was going to be something that I would have to live with for the rest of my life. But because I wasn't born with this, and I thought, no way am I going to live with something for the rest of my life by not being tested for something, but just being told by the doctor, your symptoms sound like this. At first, I didn't realise that it would be better for me to try and find the root cause through a naturopath. I just kind of figured that initially that's what it was. And then after a bit of time, I thought, no, there's absolutely no way that this is just IBS. The symptoms were becoming increasingly stronger. Whilst I was really stressed, I was also taking Nurofen, which is a form of ibuprofen, which basically thins the line of the stomach. So my stomach had no chance. With having the H. pylori infection and high stress, I didn't have a lot of stomach acid. It would have been lowered because of the stress. And then taking the ibuprofen as well was thinning the lining of my stomach. So it was actually a really good environment for H. pylori to thrive. I was diagnosed with so many different things. I was told that I'd got anxiety, depression, low iron, menopause, IBS, gastritis. There was so many things that I was told that I had. It was just getting so confusing. I didn't really know where to start with trying to fix this. I even went online into a forum that was to do with like sort of spirituality, because I thought, because I was panicking so much and because I was so stressed and anxious, I thought maybe I had a lot of deep internalized trauma. I actually posted in the group that I felt like there was some discomfort under my rib cage. And somebody replied and said, it sounds like you've got blocked chakras. I just wanted to highlight that it's so easy to go on the internet and ask a question and a stranger will say, oh, it could be this or it could be this. So I kind of thought, I must have real deep rooted trauma for this infection to be taking such a hold. If you're watching this and you are feeling really alone, then please try not to. I felt so alone with this infection, but look at how many people have commented on my previous videos and asked questions. There are so many people that have got this, had this, and actually people who I spoke to right at the very beginning, so I'm talking 2 or 3 years ago, have now healed. I've had people messaging me on different platforms saying that they have now healed and that they feel so much better, and that's incredible. Like, it just proves that if you are going through the midst of it, these people were really struggling. And struggling not just physically, but struggling mentally as well, as was I. And I've managed to get myself through. So video 1 is talking about the signs and symptoms and the lead up to me finding out that I had the infection, along with things that I was diagnosed with along the way. Video 2 is all about the testing process. Video 3 is all about just after having the eradication therapy and how I helped myself in those first sort of 3 months. Video 4 is 12 months after the infection. Video 5 was 18 months after the infection. And video 6 is talking all about 2 years after the infection. So if you haven't already, then please go back and watch the videos. Those videos and that playlist was all done in real time. So those videos are me basically experiencing things as they were actually happening, whereas now I'm talking about things 3 years down the line. If I talk about eradication therapy, then I'm talking about the protocol, the medicine protocol that I took to enable me to get rid of the infection. And I was basically prescribed amoxicillin, metronidazole, and a PPI called omeprazole. And I took the antibiotics and the PPI together for 7 days, and then I continued with the PPI for a further 2 to 3 weeks. And I say 2 to 3 because I took it for 2 weeks longer than the antibiotics, and then I weaned off it the week after that. I didn't want to take PPI long term. I know that sometimes people are advised to take the PPI long term, but I didn't want to do that because I did a little bit of research on PPI, and I personally wasn't keen on long-term effects from taking that medicine. Although I did have gastritis symptoms for a little while after I had the medicine protocol, I didn't want to continue with PPI for personal reasons. However, my doctor did recommend that I continue taking it. I do know somebody who has been taking that PPI for a very long time now, and she's struggling to come off it. And she was told that her stomach had been very affected from the infection, and so that she needed to stay on it long term. But from personal experience, I needed to come off that medicine, and I wanted my stomach to heal on its own, and I'm really glad that I took that route. I would have absolutely loved to have taken herbs and gone to a naturopath and had, a herbal or a holistic protocol to get rid of the infection. I don't personally know anybody who has managed to get rid of the infection through taking herbs, and so I don't know myself how effective that method is, and I know how hard it is to take antibiotics. I know the effects of taking antibiotics on the gut, and I've worked so hard to get my gut back to a really good place. I've had gut tests and urine tests and blood tests, and all of those things are giving me all of the information that I need to know that everything that I have done has worked. I haven't necessarily taken all of the advice that I was given medically. I've done things my way. I definitely needed to take the antibiotics. I needed to get rid of that infection. I utilised the time to train in modalities to help myself mentally. I've trained in stress and anxiety management, vagus nerve support, and anything that I could do to help myself, because I thought I must be so deeply traumatised from something that's happened in the past for me to feel so panicky and so irritable. Some of the worst symptoms that I had of the infection were panic, anxiety, brain fog, gastritis, food intolerances, bloating, insomnia, hormone imbalance, low iron, and I felt really ill. And I had no idea how on earth I was going to fix myself. Every time I went for a walk, I would have like an electric shock style panic attack that was underneath my rib cage, and I was absolutely frazzled. My whole nervous system was completely burnt out. So going back over the last 3 years, I can't believe it's been 3 years. It's actually gone so fast in some ways, but so slow in others. I just feel like a completely normal human being. I can eat and drink whatever I want to. I would say that I have been left with a slight lactose intolerance. Although I don't feel really ill after I have lactose, I do bloat. And that's the only thing really that I've kind of been left with. And you know what? I'll take it. So all I do is I just have lactose free, and I just have a low lactose diet. And that really helps. It just makes me feel so much healthier, and I just feel so much better. I've had a couple of tests which have told me that my nutrient levels are all balancing out, my iron is coming up, I'm absorbing iron now, which I wasn't before. I don't think it was going in, because the infection actually feeds off iron. So once the doctor saw I'd got low iron and put me on iron supplements, I was taking the iron supplements and it was like an inferno in my stomach, and the iron was just making me feel worse, but I needed it. And every time I ate food, obviously the infection was going to feed off my food. The test results have shown that my cortisol is sort of a bit higher than what it should be. And so I've been doing a lot of work on trying to reduce that. And I think some would say that my diet is probably a bit boring now, but you know what? I'm so much happier. I don't have alcohol. Not saying that I would never drink it. When it comes to like New Year's Eve or a celebration, I might have a little glass of something, but I don't actually have much alcohol. And I have had to cut caffeine out completely because caffeine spiked my cortisol. And so everything has to be decaf now, which I'm fine with. I have reduced my sugar intake, my salt intake, and I basically eat like a really whole food diet 80% of the time. 20% of the time I will have whatever I want to. So it's got to be, you know, completely strict and you're not allowed this and you're not allowed that. I just didn't want to do that to myself. I wanted to be kind to myself and still allow myself to have whatever I wanted. And I have learned to listen to my body. If I had anything too salty or too hot and spicy just after I had the infection treatment, then I knew that I pushed it. Or if I ate too much and my body didn't like it, I listened to my body. So I've learned to listen to my body, and that's a good thing. I've been working really hard on my nervous system, which has massively improved my sleep. My hormones are starting to balance out. I am at the age where hormones are, you know, coming to decline, and that's something else that I'll be looking at. But in terms of where I'm at now, I feel like I'm where I should be. And I've had to find all of this information out for myself, and that's why I'm doing the video. There's so much information out there that it's almost like I've plucked certain things out, tried different things. It's been a trial and error scenario since the day I had treatment, and my recovery has kind of done this. But by doing the video, I'm hoping that I can help somebody else's line be a little bit more straight. It's definitely not been an easy journey, but I'm 3 years down the line and I'm able to go on holiday, I'm able to have fun, I'm not bloated anymore, I haven't got brain fog anymore, and I don't feel that awful rush of panic when I go out on a walk anymore. And I just generally feel like my happiness levels have increased, I'm sleeping better, and just generally I'm just an all-round happier human. And that's all I want for anybody else. Having this infection has made me feel so determined to help anybody to avoid going through what I went through. And when I read the comments and I have people ask me questions, I can sense the desperation sometimes through the internet. And I was there, and I basically jumped back into what it felt like for me. And so I am very cautious when I answer questions, because obviously it's people's health and it's really sensitive, and it's important that I don't say something wrong. And I can only give information back about what I experienced and what I think somebody might benefit from trying, but I would never tell anybody to do anything specific. I'm just basically saying, this is what happened to me, this is what I've done to recover. And I know that on my last video, I might have rambled a little bit, but it's more a case of me documenting this scenario and this journey as a diary entry. It's not me being a doctor and medically advising somebody, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to eat, this is how it feels. This is more me kind of telling you exactly what is going through my head, and it's just all coming out because that's what I feel is the right thing to say. And I just want to kind of help anybody to not go through what I went through, because it was horrendous. I spent months lying in bed looking out of the window and wondering if I would ever be able to go out again. I couldn't function properly, I couldn't eat, I couldn't go out, I lost my friends, I became so insular and so alone, and my family had no idea how to help me. They'd never experienced it, and I was trying to explain to them all the time my different symptoms, but there were that many, it was so difficult. My poor husband he's tried to help me so much, and he's still here, hanging on by a thread. But it's just now that I'm better, I just feel like it's just, my life is just so different now to when I was really ill. And I know there's so many people who are going through this right now, and if that is you, then just know that in time you will feel so much better. It's not easy. It's not easy for you. It's not easy for your loved ones. It's very frustrating, and it's also very difficult to get people to listen to you and understand what you're saying. I at times actually felt like I was annoying the doctors. I was on the phone quite a lot to them. I was told a couple of times that I was wasting time, and I was told on one of the days that I called the doctors that I'd already had an appointment that day and I wasn't allowed more than one appointment. And I was crying on the phone like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel so ill. So I've been there and I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm giving back. And I'm really hopeful that anybody who is feeling unwell in time will feel better. And I'm hoping you get some nuggets from me with the videos and that you start to feel better. But please let me know in the comments how you're getting on, because you deserve to be happy too, and you will be in time. It's just an experience, that's all. And I actually feel like I've learned so much about myself and my body after having this infection. It's taught me a lot. Okay, so healing journey. Let's get onto the healing journey, because that is what people want to know more about. How did you heal quickly? How are you now? What have you done? What have you taken? What have you eaten? Tell me everything. It's basics. You've got to go back to basics after having this infection. One of my most common questions is, what supplements did you take? I couldn't take anything. I could not take any supplements. I tried. I spoke to naturopaths. I tried slippery elm tea. That made me feel ill. I tried marshmallow tea. I didn't like that. I tried supplements and they didn't work for me. The only thing that I had to take was iron. We do get stressed and stress will deplete absolutely everything. The first sort of few months, I couldn't take any supplements at all. I could only take iron, which I did struggle with. So for the first 12 months, I took nothing. Food was my medicine. I went back to basics. I drank plenty of water. I rested. I tried to sleep. If I couldn't sleep, I did not get stressed. I basically lay and rested in my bed. And if you're resting and you can't sleep because you feel so stressed, then rest is just as good. Eventually, sleep comes back. Light, as much light as possible. I looked at my environment. Was I happy in my environment? Did it bring me joy? What things brought me joy? What made me happy? I tried to laugh. I tried to distract myself while I was healing. I tried to do things that I enjoyed. And that's all I could do in the first year. So for the first 12 months after the eradication therapy, I took iron. That was it. I did struggle with iron. So talking about iron, I did a video on iron. I took Solgar Gentle Iron and I took that for a good few months, but then I started to feel unwell from it. So I actually stopped taking that one. I tried liquid iron, that burnt my stomach. I tried the doctor's iron, that was too strong for me. And I have finally settled on taking an iron called Active Iron. I take one every morning with some warm lemon water, and that seems to be doing the trick. So in healing, I relied on Mother Nature. I relied on what we already had free to us. That will hopefully save people money, because that costs. I was buying different supplements, but I was putting money down the drain because I wasn't able to take them. So I wouldn't want anybody to take anything thinking that it was going to be a miracle pill, because I couldn't take anything. And I think it's because my stomach was so raw for such a long time after the treatment that I just kind of caved in and just let my stomach just rest. And about 6 months after I had the treatment, I actually started to accept that I needed to relax more. I was just constantly focused on my stomach, on the area under my rib cage. I was constantly thinking about, am I getting a symptom? I've eaten a food. Has it affected me? How's that made me feel? Am I getting enough sleep? And I just stopped putting so much pressure on myself. So 6 months after treatment, I just had to give in to the stress and just rest. And as soon as I did that, and my mind started to calm down, my body then started to calm down, because they're both linked. If you're sensing danger in your brain and you're subconsciously telling yourself that there's a problem, then your body will react and go into fight or flight, and it's never going to heal. You're only going to heal when you're resting, and that's why it's called rest and digest, because you need to be in that state for your body to do its job, for your body to do its thing. If you're internalizing and panicking and worrying, you're going to be in that, even if you're simmering in that state, you're going to be not allowing your body to heal. So I had to stop worrying and stop stressing and just let my body do what it needed to do, and that made such a difference. So around 6 months after I had the therapy treatment, I started to feel like I was turning a bit of a corner and I started to feel like I was showing signs of healing. Another common question that I get is, how long did you have symptoms for after treatment? I was still getting symptoms for around 14 months after I had treatment. And it sounds like a really long time, but as I've just said, 6 months after I had the treatment, I started to feel like I was starting to get better, but I didn't feel like I was almost fully healed until I was about 14 months down the line. In that time, I just had to learn to listen to my body. So if I ate something and it felt too much, then I just waited a couple of weeks and reintroduced it. And I spent that 14 months just trying to allow my body to do its thing. And in that 14 months, I would say up until about 12 months after treatment, I was still getting gastritis symptoms. I was chewing a Gaviscon tablet after my main meal. I did that for about 3 weeks. And that really helped just to take away the burning sensation. But what I didn't realise was that my stomach acid was struggling to come back up after having the treatment. H.Pylori eradication treatment is quite intense, and you've obviously had a stomach infection, and so the stomach lining will likely be slightly damaged and a bit raw. So it just needs a chance to kind of get back to working back to normal again. And stomach acid for me was affected. I had a Gaviscon chewable after my main meals just for a few weeks, but then I thought there's obviously something else. And that's when I spoke to the naturopath, who said that it sounds like your stomach acid is a bit low. So it's always worth checking your stomach acid level to see if it's low. It's a very simple test that you do with bicarb. If you want to know the stomach acid level test, then please just pop me a question down below and I will send you a link. Once I tested my stomach acid level, I could see that it was low, and I introduced a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar from the mother in some water about 15 minutes before my main meal in the evening for about 2 to 3 weeks, and that seemed to do the trick. All signs and symptoms of gastritis completely went. I stopped getting heartburn, I stopped getting indigestion, and my food stopped feeling like it was a brick sitting in my stomach. So I know how horrible low stomach acid can feel. It makes you feel awful. So if you are experiencing gastritis, heartburn, reflux, your food feels like it's not really digesting properly, then it's definitely worth doing a stomach acid test just to see, and apple cider vinegar worked for me. If you're still in the early stages of just having treatment and you're getting the signs of gastritis, then you can chew on bitter foods before your meals, so things like radishes and rocket, and having things like dandelion tea and having ginger tea should help to bring up your stomach acid levels and support that before you get a little bit further down the line, because your stomach is still quite raw after treatment. So I wouldn't recommend anybody trying having apple cider vinegar until at least a year after your treatment, just to help that stomach acid level back up. But if you are really struggling in that time scale, then I would definitely say Gaviscon chewables helped me. Not the liquid, but it was the chewables. I don't know how accessible they are around the world, but they definitely helped me. So just chew one after your evening meal, about 2 to 3 weeks. That really helped me. I retested for the infection about 2 times in the last 3 years, just to make sure that it's definitely gone, and both tests came back negative, and also I wasn't getting any of the symptoms, but I just wanted to double check and make sure that it had definitely gone. I also tested my family as well, because when you live with somebody with H. pylori, then there is a chance that it can be passed on through contact, and I made sure that they were all tested as well, and thankfully they all tested negative. I lost quite a bit of weight when I had the flare-up of the infection, and I think I lost like 9 pounds in 3 weeks. I lost quite a lot of weight quite quickly. And I would say that my weight stabilised around 18 months after the eradication treatment. But what I did, because I wasn't feeling very hungry for quite some time actually after I had treatment, I maintained having my 3 meals a day. So even though I didn't feel hungry, I would chew and chew and chew my food until it was almost applesauce consistency, just to aid my stomach and to also try and get my digestive system going again. But I was so conscious that I'd lost so much weight that I was just eating normal meals just to support that. In the mornings, I also had a protein smoothie, which I've actually continued doing now. I have a protein smoothie 3 to 4 times a week in the morning for my breakfast, and that's made such a difference to my digestive system. It's so easy to just throw loads of things into a blender and just have that in the morning. And if anybody wants the recipe that I was given to aid me with my breakfast, then please just ask in the comments and I can pop the recipe in there for you. When it comes to supplements, I would definitely say test, don't guess. It's so easy to self-prescribe something based on something that you have read on the internet or heard about, but everybody's body is unique and it's definitely worth being tested just to see exactly what you need, because I was tested through a couple of different ways to find out what I needed. I had a blood test recently which told me that all of my vitamin levels were absolutely fine. H.Pylori also caused me to have something called SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And SIBO is usually a by-effect of something else going on. I didn't know that at the time, and I actually did a SIBO test before I even knew about H.Pylori. I'd never even heard of it before. And I did the SIBO test and I had help with eradicating the SIBO. But because I'd already got H.Pylori, I did start to feel better after the SIBO protocol, but I needed to get rid of the H. pylori infection and I didn't know that. Trying to figure out what to do to help myself, and I've gone without things so that I can sort this out. I feel like if I'd have known that I'd had H. pylori in the first place, then I probably wouldn't have had the SIBO. A H. pylori test is usually free through your doctor. It's usually a breath test. I did a stool test, which isn't the most pleasant of ways to find out, but I actually did that as part of a broader kind of test that I did through a naturopath. If specifically you wanted to test for H. pylori, then you can do that. Another really common question that I have is, what probiotics have I taken? I couldn't take any probiotics because everything that I took just irritated my stomach so much. So I actually had lactose-free yogurt, Greek yogurt, some kefir as well, which has really good probiotics in. I had as many plants as possible. I still do that now. And I actually did a stool test going back about 18 months, and my gut health was showing to be really healthy. Things were thriving. There was no sign of any bad bacteria in there, and all of my good bacteria was showing in the green. They were all really healthy. Now, obviously, having the antibiotic protocol, all of that would have been wiped out. So for me, I know that having those foods have helped and benefited to replenish my gut microbiome. That for me has proven that you don't necessarily have to have probiotics. And I'm also aware that it is worth it if you can get your own gut tested to see what you need, because we all have a different system and we all need different things. And I think sometimes I don't think probiotics are a one size fits all, but in food you cannot go wrong with having loads of different kinds of fruits, vegetables, plants, yogurts. And I've basically gone to sort of like a more of a Mediterranean style diet, because that seems to be one of the best ways that we can eat, and it's really benefited me in a lot of ways. I actually think it's helped me, especially being in my 40s, I think it's helped me with my hormone balance as well. Obviously getting rid of the infection helped with my hormones, but I think having a Mediterranean style diet, you cannot go wrong with that. It seems to be the diet that helps with a lot of things, not just recovering from this infection. And I don't mind kind of recommending that, because that does seem to be sort of a worldwide recognised way of eating. But like I say, I'm 80% eating healthy and then 20% eating what the heck I want. I'd say it was more of I've followed like anti-inflammatory style diet as well. I've reduced my sugar and I've cut out drinking alcohol, and I don't have caffeine. I want to try and keep things a little bit more neutral. I don't want too much acidic foods in my diet. In a nutshell, food has been my medicine, and not only food but mindset work as well. I've had to really work on my thought processes and my nervous system and my stress levels, and I've worked so hard on those, and it's really starting to pay off. I feel so much safer in my own body. I trust my body, and because of that, my mindset is calmer. It trusts that I'm okay, that I'm safe, that I feel happy, and that's making so much difference as well. I found that rubbing a bit of magnesium body butter on my feet at night really helped with calming the nervous system, making me feel calmer, and also replenishing any of that magnesium that I might have lost through feeling really stressed. I've also been having Epsom salt baths. I'll have sort of maybe 1 or 2 Epsom salt baths a week just to support my nervous system, my muscle relaxation, and to basically calm my mindset down as well. It's just about listening to your body and what feels right to you. It really surprised me how long it took me to recover from this infection. I was kind of expecting that maybe it would have taken a couple of weeks or a month or 2, not months down the line. But I don't want anybody to worry about that and think that that's going to be the same for them, because everybody's healing journey is different. I didn't have a lot of information to go on, and so I've had to figure all of this out for myself, and it has been really hard at times, but so beneficial now to have learnt so much and then be able to pass it on to other people. So the best foods that I have found that have really helped me to heal from this infection is cooked broccoli in abundance, lots of cooked broccoli, cabbage for the vitamin U, cooled boiled decaf green tea, sometimes with a little squeeze of honey, but generally on its own. That's always been very good for me. And also ginger tea as well. That's also been quite healing. But there was one supplement that I was told might help me when I was about 18 months down the line from healing, and it's called Gastrozyme. I'll put the spelling up here. Gastrozyme is actually a supplement that contains vitamin A and vitamin U. So you do have to be careful with vitamin A. If you've been taking vitamin A already, you have to be really cautious, because I know that in supplement form, it can potentially build up in your liver. So if you're unsure, then it's worth getting that checked. Gastrozyme was, I feel, the one supplement that actually helped me to feel so much better internally in terms of my stomach and inflammation in my stomach and my whole intestinal system. And I was taking that for about, I think I took about 2 pots of it in total. I was taking 3 tablets a day, 1 after each meal. So I had 1 after breakfast, 1 after lunch, 1 after dinner. I did that for about 2 months. And I think after about 3 weeks of taking it, I was like, it's not really doing very much. But then a couple of months after taking it, I was like, I actually feel like this has really helped. So if I was going to say any supplement, obviously this is not me recommending anything, but I'd say Gastrozyme really helped me. And I don't know how. I think it might be the vitamin U content. But if you're not able to take any supplements, then I know that the juice of cabbages contains vitamin U. So that's always something to bear in mind. I gave myself mini fasts in between each of my meals. I think that really benefited me. So I would have my breakfast at around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I would have my lunch around 12:30 midday, and then I would have my dinner about 5:30 in the evening. I then tried not to have anything else to eat after 7:30 at night at the very latest, and then I wouldn't have my breakfast then until at least 7:30. So I was having like a mini overnight fast, and that was giving my stomach enough time to heal and to recover and repair, and also chance for my food to leave my stomach before I had another meal on top. That really helped me. Now, being low on iron, I had to be a bit cautious about doing that, because if I felt like I needed to eat, then I would eat. But generally, I didn't actually have much hunger for the first 6 to 12 months after I had the infection. And I basically listened to my body, and I was having my 3 meals a day, having my mini overnight fast, and that was really helping me. I actually felt like when I would wake up in the morning, I felt like my stomach was nice and calm before I had my breakfast. And then when I was having my protein smoothie in the morning, I wasn't giving it too much too quickly. There was nothing heavy going in. I was chewing my foods. I was helping those digestive enzymes to get going, and I wasn't overeating either. I would wait till I was about 80% full, and then I would stop and see if I wanted to eat any more. And then I was eating a rainbow of foods, loads of plants, a nice Mediterranean style diet, and things started to feel like I was really starting to repair and feel better and feel happier and feel well, because I was feeding my body what it needed. I was basically trying to rebuild myself after having such a big amount of antibiotics. I just wanted to try and give myself a chance, really. The infection left me with extremely high cortisol. I was living in a state of fight or flight for a very long time, which was having a huge effect on my sleep. My hormones were up and down, and I had terrible brain fog. And I would wake up in the morning and feel very panicky, very stressed, and I would feel like that all day. I needed to try and work on my mindset. I've learned how to soften. I have been working on my cortisol level to try and bring that down. And I've done a lot of work on the nervous system. The body and the brain are interlinked, and whatever your thought pattern is will have an impact on your body. When we get nervous, it's usually because of a thought that we've had or because we're experiencing some sort of danger. And I needed to allow my body to rest and recover, and I wasn't going to be able to do that until I worked on my mindset. Mindset is absolutely key. I would tell myself all the time, I feel well, I feel healthy, I feel happy, because it's so easy when you're in that situation to be telling yourself, I don't feel very well, I don't feel like this. But what we tell ourselves is so important. You become what you tell yourself. Even though you might be experiencing something physically, it's important to focus on being well, focus on feeling healthy, focus on feeling happy, and focus on regulating myself. I have started doing more creative things and things that I enjoy to open up the creative side of my brain, which will then stop me from overthinking about things that might be worrying me or the emotional side of things. And I've really learned how to enjoy doing some of my hobbies again. And I love to draw and colour and read, and I wasn't able to do all of that before because I was just living in this state of panic, not knowing what on earth was going on, and really struggling with that. And now I've started to be able to give my brain a bit of a rest and focus on doing things that I enjoy and actually sparking some happiness, and it's made such a difference. Part of having that infection was spiking my cortisol. I was stressed all day and pretty much all night, and as well as having the infection, which was causing side effects and symptoms, I was then having trouble with high cortisol problems, which in itself will cause brain fog and hormone imbalance. And so by replenishing my body with the right foods and telling myself positive things and focusing on being well and healthy and happy, so I was listening to the music that lifted me up. I was spending time with the people that made me feel happy. The healing journey after having this infection is a whole circle of things that will enable your body to rest, heal, recover, digest, and that's then giving you a fighting chance in feeling back to health again. We're so busy all the time. We're trying to do all the things. Sometimes rest is all you need to do for your body to feel safe to then be able to start healing again. And that for me was a huge thing. Resting was not something that was in my DNA. My family tree is all people who have basically non-stop busy, cleaning, sorting, being a mum, trying, to do all the things. And we don't learn really to rest enough, especially in this real techie world that we're in now. But resting is absolutely crucial to recovering quickly from this. And although I wouldn't say that I've recovered quickly, I've definitely gone through so much trial and error to get where I am now. I'm hoping that this video has helped somebody with a light bulb moment to go, maybe I just need to try that or try that. And everything that I do recommend is basic and simple and generally free. Obviously, you go and buy the foods and things like that, but when you buy the right food, you're investing in your health and you're investing in yourself, and you are important. Your family need you and they want you to be healthy and happy, and I want you to be healthy and happy. And if you have been able to take anything from this, then please let me know in the comments. I'm not being paid for these videos. I'm not affiliated to do them. This is me and my experience, and I've done them, putting myself on people's YouTubes is basically me coming completely out of my comfort zone, and not something that I really felt comfortable doing in the first place. But I really do want people to feel better from this, and if I can do it, then anybody can do it. And my journey being like this will hopefully mean that your journey is perhaps like this. But if you try something and it doesn't feel right, then just stop, go back, wait, try again. And it's all about trial and error, but there is no quick fix. And I'll probably get thumbs down for saying that, but there isn't. That you can help yourself, and by doing all of the things that I've done has enabled me, may enable somebody to be able to heal. But as I said earlier, if I was experiencing panic and anxiety, bloating, sudden food intolerances, brain fog, hormone imbalance, low iron stores, I would be asking my doctor for a H.Pylori test. We need to be getting to the root cause of things and not putting a sticking plaster over symptoms. If I can save anybody half as much of the time and the expense as what it's cost me, then I've done what I set out to do. And I just only wish the best for anybody. I really hope that this has helped in some way. If you do have any questions, I can only answer with my experience, but I will do my absolute best to be a supportive person. And I'm really hopeful that if you aren't feeling great, or if you know somebody who isn't, that you are able to heal and recover and feel better. If you or anybody that you know is suffering or struggling, then I really hope that you feel better soon. And if you have any questions, then please pop them in the comments. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will be back soon with some more videos. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching.